Let us divine the fallacy in this argument. So oftentimes you will hear people who are doing deconstruction saying that just because New York exists doesn't mean that Spider-Man exists in the comic books, which is a very valid argument against just because you can find certain cities that are mentioned in the Bible, and that means that the Bible character exists. For instance, just because the Bible mentions Egypt doesn't mean that the Bible stories are correct. It mentions Rome, doesn't mean that it's correct. It mentions Jerusalem, doesn't mean that it's correct. Now, if you're going to say that if at some point they discover New York City, then you would have to consider that Spider-Man does exist, and therefore the same mindset should be put towards the Bible. That does not work in that thought process. Because if you were so inclined to do so, then you would recognize also that they found the city of Troy. So since they found the city of Troy, does that mean Achilles, a demigod, existed? Does that mean that when Odysseus left the Battle of Troy, left Troy, that he met sirens, that he dealt with Cyclops and other sea creatures? Would you consider those things are true in existence because the city of Troy was found and mentioned in Homer's Iliad and Odyssey? Would you say because we know that Cairo and Karnak exist, that Memphis and Heliopolis exist, does that mean that the Kemetic gods of Heru, Asar, Aset, do they exist? We know where Mount Olympus is. Does that mean that Zeus exists? So you would have to take those into consideration and say that it is a possibility that they exist if you want someone to take into consideration that your biblical characters exist because certain cities or kings or people of that historical people are mentioned within the Bible. And then you go on to talk about the fact that the Bible predicted that the state of Israel will be put back together. Well, as the Bible describes the kingdom of Israel is not currently existing in the way that the Bible portrays it. It portrays it from the Mediterranean Sea to the Euphrates River. We know that it doesn't extend that far, nowhere near that far. So therefore, this kingdom of so-called Israel is not the true Israel that the Bible talked about. And these wars, this issue that's happening right now, this war against the Palestinians, you admit that it may or may not be a foretelling of the prophecy, but you still say that time is running out. This is something that's been said for over 2,000 years. And time has not been running out since then, and time will not be running out at any other point in time, because this book is not historical. This book is not accurate. You might want to think about the arguments before you make the argument. But remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.